Hello and welcome to the Bookwalkers Club. And I'm really thinking that it's more like a walking wisdom circle, but we started with Bookwalkers Club and we'll figure out where the name is, because last week I did this one's video. This is on Zoom, but I did one live in person last week at a treatment center's alumni weekend. And it was so great for me to have 15 people sitting in a circle who may or may not take a lot of walks, but never really look at nature in the way that most people who are more shamanically inclined do, that it's just a constant source of information. And it was really insightful because one woman who noticed she always looks down when she walks. And what she thought was, this is a good thing that I started to look up. But what she didn't realize was that her looking down the whole time, it helped other people see that there was rosemary. And so she had picked some rosemary, and then the people behind her picked the rosemary, and then two or three people behind her picked the rosemary. And so her revelation was looking up. And my revelation for her was, by you looking down and noticing things other people don't notice, how many people you have help behind you. It was really good. And another person was wondering if everyone saw the bird taken off. I didn't see the bird. And so the bird was for her. And for me, the whole revelation was about how to actually do these circles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have people like in reading groups and stuff buy the books, whether depending on the number of people, wholesale, like a treatment center that's going to need books continually. It's a great wholesale thing. And then I'll provide the worksheets. And I'm learning from our worksheets. And then I was talking to a therapist yesterday how these worksheets could even work better for her if they were in a little spiral bound. But I think we're too premature on that. And of course, then my good friend at home says, you better figure out how to package this before everyone else takes it and does it and doesn't use your book and doesn't, and all of a sudden the idea goes out the window. That said, today's insight for us is about rest. And I think it's really funny that today's about rest, because I have a big behavioral healthcare conference in 3 weeks, and it's 7 days a week. There is no rest. I go into a manic mode where I just have a list that I go from one thing to the next, and everything's orchestrated, from putting the laundry in the laundry box to getting up to making sure that there's letters written that can go out on Monday, and still selling sponsorships for it, not to mention the CEs and all the other stuff that goes along with a big conference. But it's interesting that this walk came right after that conference again last year, where everything was jam-packed in. And I think I express it as a nice tin of sardines at the market. And here I am again, and we're talking about it again. And it hasn't really changed much. It has changed a lot, and it hasn't changed at all. But I want to just read this first section for us. And we got the cat here too. She's on my lap. For me, walking the Camino was an exploration of what it would be like to stop working, and an opportunity to connect deeper with myself spiritually. I hoped it would help me organize the next stage of my life. Throughout my life, I've always found it necessary to isolate myself and step away from my busy daily routines to remember my oneness with nature. Intention is key. And once a decision is made to separate myself and take a rest from the mundane experience, spirit always opens the visionary door. I knew the undertaking of a pilgrimage would require prayer, communicating with spirit, and gathering strength and knowledge. And then the chapter goes on to talk about my 3 or 4 bear dream experiences that happened before, during, and a month after the trip. And I hadn't seen Mr. Bear in many years. In fact, when I was one of these removal experiences, I actually went to the Vermont Studio Center, and I took what the artist said literally when he said, you need to paint them all in the same series. So I painted these 5-foot massive canvases of these bears. And so this bear spirit has been around for a long time. And painting funny enough, is one of those things that I always say when I retire from the day job and when I'm just teaching, I'm going to have time to do more painting. And so I think that this reorganization of our lives, as much as we would like to think that it's going to happen on a flip on a dime or a quarter or whatever, it's really something that is a cycle in itself. It's a leaving cycle that may take 2 or 3 years. And I see myself getting set up and ready for that. This week, an agent came along who wants to represent the book that I was writing that didn't get published when this came through in the middle. And so I know that all the work that I've been doing is expanding itself out for a different way of living in the world and more walks. And I must admit, I love our little group on WhatsApp chat, because if I haven't done enough walks by Friday, and I know that I'm going to come here and be live and be accountable, I make sure on Friday I always get out for that walk and I record it so you know that I did it. That's all that I have.